Alrighty, folks, we got an article here today for you out of ZeroHedge.com entitled FBI Uncovers Terror Training Camp in Alabama. I think I'll just let it mostly speak for itself. FBI investigators have found a training compound in Alabama linked to a group of suspected homegrown terrorists. According to a report by the Sinclair Broadcast Group, an FBI search warrant described the property in Macomb County, Alabama, Macomb, as a makeshift military-style obstacle course. So, to highly train folks and different situations and environment type stuff. Identified in reports as a homegrown Islamic terror compound. It allegedly belongs to a group led by 40-year-old Siraj Wahaj, an imam indicted on federal charges related to firearms violations and terrorism. Wasn't this tied to the thing before? Yeah, it was tied to that other group. Wahaj and 4 other suspects, Jenny Leviel, 36, Herja Wahaj, 38, Sunhana Wahaj, 36, and Lucas Morton, 41, face a range of firearm and terrorism-related charges amid accusations they conspired to support planned attacks on U.S. law enforcement officers and other government employees. Federal prosecutors commented on March on the charges against Wahaj and others in a new indictment that brought fresh terror-related allegations. The superseding indictments allege a conspiracy to stage deadly attacks on American soil. U.S. Attorney John Anderson said in a written statement, "These allegations remind us of the dangers of terrorism that continue to confront our nation," Anderson said. Yeah, but when it happens, everyone shouldn't get blamed and punished for it. Like the TSA, for Pete's sake. If everyone gets punished when terrorism happens, which is the price of freedom, if punishment is dished out to everyone instead of holding one person individually accountable for their actions, and whether or not what they did was big enough, aka lowering themselves to an animal and taking the life of another unjustly, then one ought to make a public example out of them so that people know not to do that, and this is the result of what happens, which we did away with like 80 years ago or something. If we do not do that and instead just keep them locked up forever, make everyone pay for them, and let them get out in 20 years or whatever. If we do that and instead take what they did and punish everyone, punish everyone, get rid of their rights or freedoms or liberties, and cramp on those, add 1 million cameras, whatever the case, for safety. Well, then terrorism wins. Terrorism wins. If our freedom and liberties are encroached because of the bad actions of individuals, if it's applied to everyone gets punished, and then everyone has to pay the price with their freedom and liberties, That's no good. That's no good. That's bad. Very bad. Charging documents allege Wahaj and others were conducting weapons trainings with assault rifles at the Ramshackle compound in New Mexico, where children were being trained to commit school shootings. Now, there's nothing wrong with the gun. All right, the gun requires a moral agent to utilize it in a neutral sense, a good sense, or a bad sense. That's just the price of freedom. He poses a great danger to the children found on the property, as well as a threat to the community as a whole due to the presence of firearms and his intent to use these firearms in a violent and illegal manner, Prosecutor Timothy Hassan wrote in court documents. The New Mexico compound, located on the outskirts of Amalia, a tiny town near the Colorado border, is reportedly similar to one FBI agents found in Alabama. There's terror compounds across America, apparently. Why is this? What the heck even led to all this? That should be looked at. What the heck led to all of this? What policies or actions led to all this, where we have terror compounds in America? Maybe those need to be looked at and reversed. Maybe. And that's not phobic or this or that or intolerant. That's just common sense, for Pete's sake, to keep our citizens safe. Common sense. So, the remains of a 3-year-old Abdul Ghani Wahaj were found at the New Mexico compound, where authorities found 11 malnourished children, guns, and ammunition in a firing range. The search of the compound was sparked by an investigation into the whereabouts of the missing 3-year-old, who was Siraj Wahaj's son and suffered seizures. Prosecutor John Lovelace said the boy died during a religious ritual intended to cast out demonic spirits, reported Reuters. The boy stopped breathing and soon died during a ceremony. Prosecutors said Wahaj had placed his hand on the boy's head and was reciting verses from the Quran just before the boy began suffering seizures and foaming at the mouth. He was soon dead. Wahaj's 15-year-old son recounted to officials that one of the adults told him the spirit of the dead boy would return as Jesus to direct the group on where to carry out the violent attacks they were allegedly training for. What the heck? Prosecutors said Janie LaVille, Wahaj's wife, led the group and was the one who spread the belief that the boy would be reincarnated to attack banks, schools, and government agencies, reported USA Today, citing an FBI agent's testimony. Kidnapping charges were brought against LaVille in connection with the child's abduction and subsequent death. Holy moly. They could have faced the death penalty if convicted of abducting the child, because authorities said it resulted in the boy dying. Prosecutors said in the filing ahead of the court hearing in April that they would not seek capital punishment against the 4 suspects. I don't know. I'm just dishing it out. I just stand for common sense, and this, whatever led to all this terror compounds, it needs to be looked at. Whatever policies or actions that led to this need to be looked at and possibly reversed. If need be, to revoke citizenships and deport folks. If need be, to keep us safe, let's do it. Let's do it. Thank goodness that this stuff action was taken. Thankfully, very thankfully. And then the sad thing is, when this stuff does make it through the cracks, it's used to push for gun control, rather than look at any other aspect to a situation. Very sad. It's an agenda. It's an agenda. So, let me know what you think. Thank you very much for watching. Stay tuned for more. I will soup ahead. As always, take care cool. Feel free to subscribe.